Now, very first story, aggrieved members of the People's National Convention, PNC, are calling on the party leadership and national executive to openly rebuke its flag bearer, Hassan Ayariga. The aggrieved members are worried his actions and inactions have put the party's fortunes in next month's elections in great jeopardy.
The press conference was to register the party's displeasure at its flag bearer's lack of commitment to the party's convictions. Members claim Hassan Ayariga's ideas and comments are contradictory to the ideals of the party.
I find it difficult to believe that the people of our party, our cherished delegates, will give him the mandate to lead the party again into an election come 2016. But for this election, certainly our candidate has turned himself into a comic relief, a political comic relief, really not doing what he must do to convince the ordinary people. And honestly, the height of my conviction was served yesterday at the IEA debate. I was more than convinced that Ayariga is a joke for the 2012 election, and for that matter, he can't lead the PNC into victory.
Aggrieved members are also unhappy about the flag bearer's relationship with aspiring members of parliament on the PNC's ticket.
Go around the country. Go around the constituencies, a party that wants to win an election. Ask yourself, how well are we represented on the ground? If we are not represented on the ground based on posters and billboards, what are we doing as a party to make our candidates visible? Has our candidate been able to visit those areas? He's not present on the ground by billboards and posters? Certainly not. Let us be real to ourselves and let us understand. And gradually, Hassan is pushing certain ones of us from rethinking our political dreams, rethinking our political ideology.
The group is convinced that Hassan Ayariga has a hidden agenda that is tailored towards jeopardizing the party's fortunes.
Your colleague in opposition, who you are fighting with, you are joining forces to fight the government so that one of you will succeed and oust the government in office democratically. But you end up praising government, speaking a lot of good about government, saying that government's policies are inspiring, government policies are working, and for that matter, when you turn back, then now you come attacking the policies of an opposition party that seeks to win an election for the people of this country. You ask yourself, would Hassan Ayariga vote for himself on December 7th?
Not so long ago, some members of the party called on the flag bearer to render an unqualified apology to the hierarchy of the party for his unilateral decision to welcome late President Mills after his medical examination in the USA. Meanwhile, a member of the PNC Council of Elders, George Lurie, who spoke to us earlier on Top Story, says they will have a meeting this weekend on the development.
The PNC flag bearer himself, Hassan Ayariga, has so far refused to comment on the matter. Elsewhere, Dr. Pakwesi Ndum of the Progressive People's Party is cautioning the electorate not to throw away their votes by giving the mandate to the NDC or the NPP since they have failed Ghanaians. He said it is time to give the PPP a chance as his party is committed to meeting the ordinary Ghanaian halfway. The PPP flag bearer was interacting with market women and sympathizers at the Kaneshie, Agbogbloshy, UTC and Mokla markets as part of his door-to-door campaign tour of the Greater Accra region.
The PPP started its door-to-door campaign in Accra yesterday. Today, the train stopped over at Kaneshie, Agbogbloshy and Makola markets. The door-to-door walk commenced at Kaneshie, where the PPP addressed the gathering.
Now, the people saying almost go almost bribe. It will come parliament now to a bannerman. I didn't know Okwakoje bribe. Or a president here. I didn't know Okwakoje bribe.
PPP. Waka Papa Kwesindo, Wakalaya Castle. Wakalaya Castle.
And Afi, one job and NDC, Nisem, now one from my PPP. One from my PPP. Na PPP. Onfanajin, Onfananyansa, Onfanbobu, Emeni, Ma Enfasono, Onkogana Nebebiara, Enfasono, Onkogana Nebebiara.
Dr. Ndum says it's imperative for whoever is seeking to rule to meet personally with the electorate, hence his door-to-door campaign. He explained his reason for cautioning Ghanaians against voting for the NDC and the NPP.
If they themselves say they are disappointed in what the NPP had done, and then they went for NDC again, and they are still disappointed, now is not the time to go back to the two that they have disappointed them. And so if they vote for them again, they are wasting their vote.
Dr. Ndum says this style of reaching out to the electorate is the fourth strategy the PPP has adopted towards courting voters. The PPP will continue its door-to-door campaign in the Ashanti, Central and Northern regions before the close of the month, according to its campaign coordinator, Ato Kome. I am Olalom Johnson for Joy News.
We spoke to these women voters about their views about Dr. Ndum's campaign.
Pakwesi is the best and of all. So call to only be a no jogba. Nyagbe no na no ni jano. Vote more Pakwesi.
Our school fees is too great, and then our salary is too small. So the government should work for us.
And so no change your mammy into I mean, any kind of pack to winning you must I just want to say or blog on a man or from a Ghana man.
Mamma Juma for Naming a Juma to send me my Juma meet my memory. I want to dear Juma and to Mamma Juma for trouble and trend them a too much and to know my Juma for Naming. A person, boy, Papa. Say, yeah, boy, they ever find us. I won't. When the person of my man, Juma ye, those are in Juma ye. The Karikar Obaswanyama, Bemaswanyama, Yabana Wadi, a Benny Day. A person, the big boy, or the Juma Ghana, Ye,
change everything for us. Let us live better. We don't. We are tired of the other government. We don't want a new government. Yes, we want new government.
No, they Juma prayer. Nay, Juma money, bread. Obe boya waha. Mashana brava. No be boya why. To my bomba so so nya banana on boy. Na nya baku. Nien to my Pakwesi Ndum. Na me hu se ahodin ni to me papa when you want to be boaga na fo. Ejodi fo makwala fo mumie nyina nya baku. Nien to manu afi na fe. Ya pesa bra kwesi mra. No beji ya fi ya ha mu na ya bra.
So those were some views. We've also been speaking to some taxi drivers and they've been expressing their views generally about the 2012 elections and the issues that bother them.
Oh, I don't have any problem. I think the work is good now. So what we have improved in now is that the work and pay is very, very good for us at now. So the government will give us loan to, I think, to buy cars for work and pay. I think it's a very good thing for us now.
That's your team, and so no, me nyam wa bien free so. And once I hear Massa and me stop Kaka if you want me and free and task your team in a so. The person I may say, be a bit my mind, be to say, a be a task and I tea and a beer. Okay, be a baby, be say, mamma. Maybe a make pension instead of an idiot. They might do me my knee crack, so that's it. And the bedroom maybe no, minting Kaka beam. The minting Kaka and a dear Amazon to me 20 I want to be me. International said, Faswa Mimians, be a mimi patuna metone metas at Timino. Bedu Tama mean metnefian, who say Bia, Bosumi Bibia, Akokrabaji, Naja, Fatu Butum, and then I made a dream who say.
You cut tax, you know, eh? You check tax, you try insurance, you tell me, Dako Crano, Bibi Pounds say, Pap, Lucy Timicho. But insurance, say, who I can say, you try enough for Subio. So I say, Ukako Kunya, a BZA, Ubatrisa. Recently, yes, a pen, Miancasankasa, the car, will be crossway, and a bomb demo. My Miancasam CC, insurance, I may free. And so insurance, pound that could participate here. This Adna Abanon Mumia, because the entity for a mobile. You never be out. There be a harassing and say insurance in Tianti, be a womb. I feel so, I never compare a government to see a mine, so I buy a person mine. And they say, overcut taxis are all quite wouldn't be out. See, no, you need to be a pension and I say we saw him. Is in Caban be back, not to make us a beer. Compose a taxi driver beer and was be able to say and Cababwa. And the tossing business known. Abamba was a better petrol so drastically. I'm a Muhammad petrol had to say traffic room. His own balance of petrol better 200 something is a paper. We could finish a kit. Nti abam wire they say na fuel yenya gas oil was is it the abam wire na no so fuel price no so bra afenso so se see no ukokota spare parts na next week we call the policy o chale abo na kosoro adense for $1 na kosoro so ama eno so high engine they say me kai engine say pa emre engine am turn 7.5 they say o 10 million to get 10 million trees that from my son, so until Sunday, because I'm probably didn't say, and never now causes for not high.
Send Mr. BB suspenses to the Dawson, the same first chop when I'm here, and increase it, and quite first feeding fee, say, let me try first, then come on 4, no come check feeding fee, because 8 CD, and then check 200 feeding fee. So, I send a massage top when I'm put to, and maybe I might say my ha. I want to say, you make my patrol be a 5,000, but to patrol 2,000, but I pay better for more than 250. And discussing about many other 2 hormone. Tell me to me, commend him. Patrol going at Diana, be almost why deal crum. And it's canning now caught a Diana Tonya that didn't school fees in home. Am I a bread?
I know the petrol no cost through Nintino, separate to cost and be a cost. The petrol no cost through a man of fence who cost to be a woman who are crana instead of a be of a fat Tezino. Sikanisha no ajana kofo trotro ntema ye ho kyere me wadwuma sa aban ne behwe na petru no watete no ma no so petru no so petru ne ba forma no ma so ba forma.
Now, another news, the Regional Directorate of the Electoral Commission has organized a training program for female parliamentary aspirants in Greater Accra. The female aspirants, especially first-time contestants, were schooled on the electoral process.
The aspirants were taken through the various stages in the electoral process to give them first-hand knowledge on the do's and don'ts of elections. The training, according to participants, have been beneficial.
Well, I think that it has exposed certain loopholes from the different candidates, from the different, candidates that, it's given us sort of exposure to some of the irregularities that could go on during the voting process.
And it's working very well. And I will recommend each and every person to say a very big thank you to the Electoral Commission. They are doing something good for the women, and not the women alone, because they had it from first for all the aspirants and now continuing with the women, and we are making a great impact of whatever they are.
The training also served as a platform for the women aspirants to share ideas and to compare notes on their preparations towards the elections. The EC said a similar exercise will be organized for party agents to broaden their knowledge on the electoral process.
Some Christian leaders have been reacting to the recent back and forth between the General Overseer of the International Central Gospel Church and elements within the NDC. While some have criticized the way the matter has been handled, others believe that banter must come to an end. Meanwhile, speaking after the devotional breakfast with the Christian leaders at the castle, Deputy Finance Minister Fifi Kwete said the party is not anti-Christian as is being portrayed. Officials also explained the absence of Pastor Mensah Otabil.
He was invited and he was very well represented. You know that Prophet Ano is like his right-hand man, a senior pastor. And we spoke to him and he said he traveled. He came back only last night, so it was difficult for him to come. Let's just forge ahead as one people, one nation with a common destiny. We cannot continue to wallow and live in the past, especially when that past is negative.
One of the desperate things that is happening at the moment is to create a picture as if government, or for that matter the ruling party, is against religious authority, is against religious people, against pastors. I mean, I can cite you as a personal example. I was on your program a week ago, Crossfires precisely, and I said a number of things. Never at any point attack Pastor Mensah Otabil. MPP's machinery today has put it out on Ghana Web using Peace FM online that I call him a first-class liar, something I never said. Absolute fabrication. So it's important for the country to be made to know that there is a desperate attempt to want to pitch religious group against a particular group in a country. For them to know that we are for peace, we believe in God, and we are not the kind of people who have any satanic plans against this country.
I think maybe for us as a nation, maybe if we can even put to bed that discussion or those discussions, it helps us to be able to let those kind of matters die down, so that Ghana, we can just have a peace of mind, because when people struggle like that, everybody gets some kind of heartaches. So I think even the more we all stop talking about it, the easier we will get the peace.
First of all, the problem is from the people. Misinterpretation and misrepresentation of what a man of God says. When a man of God says something which they do not understand, they don't go for clarifications, they try to explain in their own ways, then misrepresenting what the man stands for. That's number one. Number two, the men of God also are to blame, because we try to pass comments where it is unnecessary. And I think that if we men of God would just stick to our role as preachers of the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ to edify the body, I think that we will avoid misrepresentation.
He was preaching with his congregation, and it is within a certain context he was preaching. But it looked as if what he said has been taken out of context and has been used for a campaign message, and I don't think that is. And it was also done without his permission, and that one doesn't order too well. So I feel that those people who were doing it shouldn't have done that without his permission. They should have sought his permission, should have given them the go-ahead, and he should have listened to the advert and the way it was going to be played and its implication to the ongoing campaign messages. And if he had given his blessing, they could have used it, but they didn't, and I think that was wrong.
You're watching the Prime Time Bulletin on Journey. It is estimated that over 6,000 hectares of the country's water bodies have been destroyed by water weeds. But of major concern to government and the several communities dotted along the Volta Lake is the danger these weeds pose to fishing, rail transport and the generation of hydroelectric energy. Government has therefore acquired or contracted a 2.5 million African Development Bank loan to purchase 2 aquatic weed harvesters and 2 transport barges to clear water weeds that have taken over several portions of the Volta Lake.
From afar, these plants on the Volta Lake look very beautiful and can confuse the ordinary viewer as decorative ornaments on the lake. But that is not the case. These plants are very dangerous and are destroying the Volta Lake. In Ghana, the main kinds of water weeds include water hyacinth, water lettuce and the cariba weeds. Water weeds are believed to be the major cause of bilharzia among residents living along the Volta Lake, since they harbor the snail that caused the disease. The weeds also trap the nets of fishermen, thus tearing them in the process and drastically reducing their catch. They are also believed to be responsible for reducing the volume of water in the lake, as one weed is said to consume over 200 gallons of water per day. Between 2006 and now, over 6,066 hectares of the country's river bodies have been destroyed by water weeds. Several efforts to destroy these plants, which include handpicking from the river, chemical and biological control, have proven futile, thus necessitating government to adopt alternative measures. Officials hope the procurement of the weed harvesters and the 2 transport barges will finally put to rest the challenges of dealing with water weeds in the country.
The government of Ghana, through the Environmental Protection Agency, implemented the African Development Bank Finance Project, the integrated management of invasive aquatic weeds to control weeds in the Tano and Volta River systems, with a loan of $2.5 million.
Representative of the African Development Bank, Marie-Laurie Akin-Olugbade, the partner organization funding the procurement of the weed harvesters, said the bank has trained over 50% of women to be part of the maintenance team of the project. Minister of Environment, Science and Technology, Sherry Aite, explained how the ministry and other stakeholders will maintain the equipment to prevent breakdowns.
We've trained both the local people, and then we have a technical team who manage the maintenance. So everything has been put in place to ensure that the program is sustainable.
She later requested for an additional 2 wheat harvesters from the bank to boost the exercise.
The Science Fund expected to help Ghanaian inventors and innovators produce their inventions on a large scale has been launched.
Funding is a key bottleneck for most Ghanaian inventors. The launch of the Science and Technology Fund will provide aid to those who need it. The launch of the fund fulfills a promise made by the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology after the first ever National Science Congress to assist innovators to move off the shelves into mainstream production.
What we have done as a ministry is to establish the fund board as a limited liability company by guarantee. So that you don't have enough government interference. So this will ensure for accountability, evaluation. So the accounts can be audited and published. So that will give you that kind of a transparency that the public will be expected. Because after all, the 1% of GDP is the taxpayers' money.
The move is also to promote research and development and address specific local problems, especially in agriculture and industry.
There shall be periodic advertisements, for people to bring proposals, which will definitely be, critically examined. If it qualifies, why not? We shall. The board itself will set out the criteria, for the relevance of whatever proposal you may bring. So on the basis of those criteria, we'll score them and then see which will be funded.
An 8-member committee has been set up to manage the fund. Ghanaian inventors and innovators are expected to apply for support from the fund, which the board will assess based on their projects and assist accordingly.
President John Dramani Mahama says persons living with disability will be integrated into basic and senior high school computerization programs by way of providing them with permanent jobs. He was addressing some 2,500 of them who graduated from the RLG Disability ICT project.
The president was there to pass out graduates and commission the distribution of Better Ghana laptops. The Persons with Disability ICT project by RLG Communications is to equip them with less labor-intensive skills, such as mobile phone repairs and computer applications know-how. Executive Secretary of the National Council of Persons with Disability, Max Varden, said his outfit is introducing an Ability Trust Fund so that every Ghanaian can donate 1 cedi to the cause of the disabled by sending a text message to 1953. Chief Executive Officer of RLG Communications, Roland Agambiri, said his vision to create over 1 million jobs falls in line with that of government, hence their partnership on the basic school laptop and Better Ghana laptop projects. President Mahama said 60,000 laptops have already been distributed and will be followed up by 100,000 this year and 400,000 next year.
We're doing the passing out for the first 2,500 trained in the southern sector, and we will do the passing out for those trained in the northern sector to make a total of 5,000. We'll begin the recruitment of the next 5,000 to start the training model, because we believe that a significant proportion of our population, more than 2 million of our brothers and sisters, live with some form of disability, and there's no way that we can develop this nation without all of us collectively moving forward together. Nobody should be left behind. We've said that disability is not inability. Or what we need is not the kind of tokenism and pity that we show to our disabled brothers. They are able to live and work for themselves if they are given the opportunity to do so.
Some graduates from the various regions were presented with mobile phone repair kits and laptops.
I received rainwork stationery, multimeter, the guitar. I also received tweezer and also a screwdriver. I use it to repair phones. I'm very happy and satisfied with the government. We thank him a lot for giving us this opportunity.
Drama, however, erupted during the distribution. Some of the persons with disabilities expressed their misgivings.
We came here and they announced that we should come out for our certificate and our laptops, and up to now we haven't received any, so we are going home. So they said we should come out with our ID card, but we have been here for long and we don't know what to do.
We don't know what is going on because we came for graduation. At least we need to be presented with a certificate. As of now, we've not received anything and we don't know what is happening. When we go back to our center, we will contact our lecturer and then we are trying to reach him, but we don't know where. Maybe he's busy doing something somewhere. So as soon as we get back, we will try and maybe he'll be in a better position to kind of explain to us what happened.
But a communications officer at RLG explains.
After the symbolic presentation, we send the remaining certificate to the district center, the training centers where the trainings, the graduates undertook their training, so that they go there, sign their names, and then take their certificate. It was communicated to them. Indeed, there was a plan for everybody to get a certificate here before we close. But like you can imagine, people came here much earlier, and it looks like they don't have the patience to wait.
He adds that each of the 2,500 graduates will receive a certificate and set of startup kits. He called on the media to help RLG follow up on the 60,000 laptops distributed to the various basic schools.
Minister for Health Alban Bagbin has been awarded Minister of the Year 2012. The ceremony, which took place in Accra, was organized by the Institute of Policy and Strategy Development in collaboration with Corporate Guardian and Business Week magazines.
According to Haruna Major, a representative of the Corporate Guardian magazine, Alban Bagbin's selection is non-partisan and represents current circumstances of the nation. He said a panel comprising the media, civil society, corporate and business executives was set to scout who deserved the award, which is first of its kind in the country. The committee said Alban Bagbin came tops because he's meticulous and hardworking and has restored calm and order in the health sector where there used to be frequent agitations.
In the often thankless business of managing a nation confronted with many desperate needs and wants, it is rare for an award event of this nature to be taking place. And I say so because the examiner does not begin to grade his student until after the answer paper has been judged and marked off.
In his acceptance speech, he commended the three organizing institutions of the award for going against the fashion of intense public critique of elected officials and instead dare to pay tribute to the leaders of the country. He added his excitement of the timing of the event is the achievement of his government in improving the health status of Ghanaians in his 3.5 years in office. Alban Bagbin, however, admitted 10 months at the Ministry of Health has not been without challenges. The organizers say the award is not limited to ministers of states, but will be extended to include other workers in the ministry who have excelled in their fields of endeavor.
Phone retailer Mobile Zone Ghana has introduced its own branded Android handset onto the market. The Techno N3 is the first Android from the company and comes with features comparable to the better-known handsets from the established international brands.
The new Techno N3 phone has a 3G network capacity, a 3.5 capacity touchscreen, a Wi-Fi application, a 3.0 megapixel camera lens, and Google Play. Other applications include Google Maps, an 800 megahertz processor, Facebook, WhatsApp, a G sensor, and a battery shell life of 3 days. General Manager in charge of operations at Mobile Zone Ghana Limited, dealers of Techno mobile phones, Derek Nkrumah said manufacturers of the Techno N3 Android phone did not compromise on quality.
Android is Android, okay? Just like any other car which has an engine and tires, Android does everything that any Android phone does. It does not matter who the manufacturer is. The truth of the matter is the engine that drives the Android phone is manufactured by Qualcomm, a US-based company, and they produce the chipsets for all Android phones. So when you talk of quality, you really mean quality.
Launching the Techno N3 phone, President of Musica Bias Osaikufor called on Ghanaians to patronize the product as they stand to benefit from more applications than they would have from using other Android phones. There is a 12 plus 1 month guarantee for customers who purchase the Techno N3 mobile phone.
Stark regional educational and income disparities risk slowing down Ghana's progress towards achieving national development goals and the Millennium Development Goals despite significant gains. These were contained in the 4th Multiple Cluster Survey report released by the Ghana Statistical Service.
The results of the survey indicate Ghana is making strides in providing life-saving vaccines and clean water and medical provisions for expectant mothers. According to the survey, children from poorest and uneducated rural mothers are likely to lose their lives before attaining the age of 5. Similarly, people living in the poorest households and rural areas are the least likely to have access to improved sanitation facilities, while children in the poorest households with uneducated mothers in rural areas register the highest malaria prevalence. Sanitation is a key area that needs improvement in Ghana. Nearly 1 out of 4, or 23% of households in Ghana, practice open defecation or have no toilet facility. Ghana is likely to meet the under 5 mortality rate MDG target of 40 deaths per 1,000 live births by 2015.
The country seems to have made significant progress over time in the prevention of malaria in pregnant women. Our data show that about 2/3, that is 67.1%, of pregnant women received at least 2 doses of intermittent preventive treatment for malaria, compared to 27.5% in 2006. That's a big achievement. The IPT doses prevent malaria-related neonatal mortality. The results are therefore encouraging. However, more needs to be done to improve the situation.
In all regions, more than 50% of the infant deaths occurred within the first month of life. Speaking at the release of the MIC's report, UNICEF Deputy Representative Rena Van Dongen pointed out, although Ghana has now graduated to the ranks of a middle-income country, the most vulnerable people, particularly women and children, are still living in a low-income country. Ghana has made significant strides but needs to do more.
Rashidat Kadiri, good evening and thanks for staying tuned to the sports segment on the news. Interim coach of the national under-20 team, the Black Satellites, Maxwell Kunedu, will continue to handle the side at the 2013 Africa Youth Championship in Algeria. The executive committee of the Ghana Football Association will soon inform Maxwell Kunedu of their decision to have him continue to handle the Satellites team after the Black Stars return from the Africa Cup of Nations, which ends in February of next year. The assistant coach of the Black Stars qualified the team to the upcoming Africa Youth Championship. He took the team on a temporal basis after Orlando Wellington resigned from his post as the head coach of the Satellites. The Satellites will know their opponents next month when they draw for the African Youth Championship. It's held on December 9. Benin, Egypt, Gabon, Mali, Nigeria and DR Congo have also qualified for the finals, with Algeria as hosts. Now, the Continental Front, January 9 has been set as the deadline for the submission of final squad lists for the African Nations Cup. The Confederation of African Football has announced the final 23-man squad must be sent to the organization's Cairo headquarters by midnight on the night of January 9. And all 16 finalists are entitled to have a 23-man squad and a delegation of 17 officials. Lists sent late will see the countries being fined by CAF and the players subtracted from their list. This happened to South Africa in 1998 when it delayed in sending its list to CAF and were only allowed to participate with 22 players, forced to leave striker Pauline Inlanya out of the squad as a result of an embarrassing administrative botch-up. CAF have long scrapped a rule which demanded preliminary squad lists from participating countries. They used to ask for a list of 30 players and then a final list of 22 on deadline day, but scrapped the regulation some 20 years ago. Squad sizes have now been increased from 22 to 23 in line with FIFA changes for the World Cup.